What is up, guys? Clay Enjoyer here, and it is time to enjoy. And in this video, I made a shark man, half shark, and 100% abomination. Like all sculptures, they start with a body. So for this one, I can start with a thin body of clay before building up the muscles to make them look more defined and muscular. Then I can do the same thing for the calves. But because I'm so bad at proportions, one of the calves is super tiny in comparison. But I guess that is alright because this is technically a mutant, not like an actual thing that I based this off of. With the lower body done, I can start with the upper body by getting a little bit of extra clay on the arms before giving my shark man the beefiest shoulders I've ever sculpted, along with the beefiest biceps to match, followed by bulking up his forearms a considerable amount to make them look at least slightly more proportionate. Now with the arms done, it's time to move on to the back, where I can give my shark man some massive shoulder blades. Since the shoulder blades look like they're jutting out of the shark, I can smooth them in to make them more realistic looking in comparison, before giving the shark an absolutely caked rear, because I figured it would be totally fantastic content and way to make the video slightly longer. Then I can work on the upper chest muscles following the abs, which up to this point are probably the most realistic chest and stomach muscles that I've ever made on this channel up to this point. With the abs in place, I can blend them into the shark man's body so they look more real and less like those $15 fake muscle costumes at Walmart that people buy for Halloween. Then I can start building up the obliques, but my shark man is so buff, my camera has decided it can't focus on me doing the obliques. After that, I go back to the shoulders briefly to make the deltoids a little more obvious, and I'll blend it in slightly to make it a little less weird looking. And since I'm talking about all different kinds of muscles, I figured since this is a mutant shark after all, I could just add in a bunch of random shapes like the triangles here. Now I can finally make some hands by sculpting in some finger holes and then eventually some little knuckles. And like, I know, I'm so creative, only 3 fingers, shocking. Then I can give the hands each a thumb to make them actually look like hands. Now that the shark man has some absolute hammers for fists, I can attach them to his wrists and give him a little fin on the side to make him look a bit more like a shark, because primarily this looks like a super steroided human. And to make this sculpture even more obvious that it's a shark, I can build a tail starting with some aluminum foil wrapped in clay and then given a big tail before it is then stuck to the bottom of the shark. Now with the tail in place, I can add on some extra bits of clay to act as more muscles that wouldn't be found on either the shark or the man in nature, but it just makes it look a little more interesting. Then I can do the same thing for the shark man's massive dorsal fin that'll go on his back. Then, as one of the final steps before the head, I can start by making his feet by blending in a bit of clay to make the ankles. To finish off the feet, I can carve out some toe holes and smooth it down a little bit, and then it is finally on to start making the head, which starts as a tube of clay with a mouth that I can smooth and open up to make room for future teeth. But I need somewhere for the teeth to go, so I'll make some gums for the teeth to go in. With that done, I can start by working on the eyes, by poking holes for future eyeballs, and then little worms of clay over top and blend it in to make the shark look a little bit more angry, before finally blending the neck into the back of his head. And since this is a Mutant Shark Man, I want this shark to look a little less buttery smooth, so I'm cutting up the skin with some 2 different kinds of silicone shapers. With the sculpting process done, I can start painting. This is a very vibrant blue that I started with, but I decided it was a little bit too bright in the end, so I ended up toning it down to a more navy dark blue, which looks a lot better than the bright blue. And I painted the front of the body white off camera, and then I'm just stippling in some white to make the edge look a little less clean and a little more natural. To make sure that all the muscles of the chest and stomach pop, I painted them with a light gray towards the bottom to act as a very defined shadow before going into his mouth and painting it pinky purple colors. And to finish up, I can paint the teeth white and then the eyes a nice dark black before finally moving on to giving the Shark Man a base. Since last time I checked, mutant sharks don't occur in nature, and in my opinion, you would find them in a lab. So what I am doing here is making a broken, damaged, and destroyed floor to some kind of lab that the shark is escaping from, evident of all the damage. To seal and protect the base for future layers of paint, I can give the floor a nice priming of Mod Podge with black paint, which ends up turning gray, obviously. Then after that, I can do some dry brushing of some lighter and darker grays to really get into all the nooks and crannies of the tile and to make the detail look a lot more obvious. To go along with the destroyed floor of the lab, I can also make some foam walls that have been thoroughly destroyed and broken apart to make it look like the shark has been on a rampage escaping his chamber. And I can make his chamber now. It's pretty basic, it's just those sci-fi chamber things you see aliens in. I just wanted to give one for the shark to make this a little more interesting. To make the glass of the chamber, I can take this clear-ish plastic sheet and try and tear it apart with some tweezers. Even though I'm not very successful, the marks still look like cracked glass. So to make the lines more obvious, I can scratch some more into it to give it a little bit of extra detail. Then I can paint the chamber dark gray and black along with a little bit of color to make it more interesting, specifically that dot right there in the middle. Now I can put the chamber in place and it's almost time for the reveal. I thought it would be a good idea for some reason to put in a little chain on the chamber to keep the shark in as like a final resort. Now, time for the reveal. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more videos like this that no one asked for. Bye.